Okay guys, so now the next animation we're going to go ahead and do is going to be for our shot sprite, specifically for our player that we use, as well as the one that we also created for our enemy. So I'm going to start off with the shot that we created for my player, and I'm going to go into costumes. So it's going to be similar idea that we did for the enemy. Now we can either have certain pieces moving if we want to do that as well, or another form of animation can be a color change, and that can also prove very effective to show a fun animation for our game. So you guys can do whichever you guys want to, whether that is creating different movements. So always start by duplicating the costume, using your select tool, and then moving certain pieces around. Or like I said, if you don't have pieces for your shot, you can always just make a selection box or click on your shot, and you can just move it left and right. So move it a little bit left, then duplicate it, then move it a little bit right, then duplicate it. Or another form can be changing colors, which is what I'm going to show you for this one. You can also do a mixture of both, where you're moving it and also changing the color. So I'll be showing that. So an example of this is maybe I want it so that as my bullet continues moving further and further away from my player, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. So I'm just going to go ahead. I've already duplicated my costume. I'll select the color and go to the fill. And to make it look less and less colorful, I'm going to be changing the saturation. So I'm going to click over here. I'm going to go ahead and click on my orange and do the same effect. And then I'm going to click on my red, go a little bit lower. And then I'm going to duplicate this and do the same thing. I'm just going to continue doing it until I'm happy with where I'm at. That might be a little bit too much. And then do the same thing here. And I'll do that one more time. Okay. So now that I've changed the saturation of color, you don't also have to do it this way. You can easily make it so that it's changing colors. You can also have it swap out the order of colors. So instead of making this one yellow, I'll make this orange. I'll make this red, and I'll make this yellow. So it looks like the heat of the flames are kind of changing. So that's another thing we can do. And like I said, we can also move certain pieces around. So I can either, again, if I have one entire piece, I can just have it moving. So I'm just selecting the entire piece and just shifting it left and right for each of them. Or another thing I can do is, like I said, if I have individual pieces, then I can move individual pieces as well. And like I'm doing here, I'm doing it for both of them. Okay. So now that I'm done doing it for my player shooting, I can also do it for my enemy shot as well, doing the same thing. I always suggest doing different animations for each of them, just so that they're not similar. So maybe if I'm doing the colors getting less and less colorful, maybe for this one I'm changing the colors and not moving it, or maybe for this one I'm changing the colors and moving it, and this one I'm just changing the color. So play around with making different animations for both of them. That way, even though they're both the same sprite, they're doing different things because one of them belongs for the player, one of them belongs for the enemy. Just adds another level of fun.